Hi again, everybody. This is the Bricks and Bleachers podcast. All things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. Cubs are once again the hottest team in baseball and perhaps the most injured team, too. We'll get you caught up on the latest. All-Star break is almost upon us. Who's hot and not for the Cubs, plus what moves I hope they will make, plus news and notes from across Major League Baseball. Cubs begin play on Friday as the hottest team in baseball over the last 3 weeks, 15-4 since June 11. The Cubs offense is largely to thank for the resurgence. It had been ice cold mid-May into early June, but the offense has come alive the last couple of weeks, including 23 runs against the Padres on Wednesday at Wrigley Field. But this team has been terribly streaky throughout the first half of the season, with 2 10-game win streaks in the first quarter of the season, plus a 10-game losing streak. At one point, this team fell to 34-34 in early June, and then it's clicked since then. Starting June 11, winning 15 of 19, coming into play on Friday at 49-38, 5 games back of Milwaukee in the National League Central. A weekend series with St. Louis at Wrigley Field is on deck, and we'll talk about that shortly. Pete Crow Armstrong earlier today named the National League Player of the Month for June. OPS for PCA almost 1250 in the month of June. His average at 381. 11 home runs. 12 multi-hit games in June, including one where he hit for the cycle. He was essentially the Cubs offense the first 10 days of the month. Now, it's not just PCA. Dansby Swanson especially has gotten hot the last couple of weeks. A 3-home run game on Wednesday, 3 multi-home run games over the last 10 days for Swanson. He's raised his batting average 35 points since June 15. It's still just 210. OPS is up more than 100 to 731, which is actually above average. I'm unsure if this is a permanent breakout for Swanson or just a phase, but it's nice to see offensive production finally from the Cubs shortstop. On the flip side, Alex Bregman continues to struggle. Career lows in a number of offensive stat categories. I said previously on this show he would get it sorted out after a slow start, but that hasn't been the case just yet. And look at the calendar. We are just past the halfway mark of this 162-game season, and we're still looking for Bregman to get it going. The 2026 Cubs are defined by streakiness, also defined by injuries. Cubs currently have an entire pitching staff on the injured list. 5 starters and 8 relievers. Talking about the starters, Justin Steele and Cade Horton have both been on the IL for a while. Jamison Tyone, Ben Brown, and Edward Cabrera more recently joined the IL. Tyone is actually about to come off the IL, or that's the anticipation. He's about to begin a rehab assignment. I believe he's pitching for Iowa on Sunday. Ben Brown has a neck injury that is comparable to what sidelined him for most of the 2024 season, while Edward Cabrera sustained a couple of injuries while covering first base early last week. It's also been confirmed that Justin Steele will not be activated this season. Javier Assad has returned to the Cubs rotation, and the Cubs traded for David Peterson from the New York Mets. That was kind of a curveball that no one saw coming. We knew they needed some help in the rotation, didn't know where it would be coming from or who it would be, but David Peterson has landed with the Cubs from the New York Mets. Bryce Wilson, also new to the team, he is going to slide into that long relief role that Assad and others have held earlier this year. Wilson already with a 4-inning relief appearance that looked pretty good. So the Cubs rotation at the moment, Colin Ray, Shota Imanaga, David Peterson, Javier Assad, and Matthew Boyd, who is also just back from the injured list. Certainly not what one would have envisioned as the Cubs starting rotation on July 3rd when this season was getting underway. Time for this and that, our look at news and notes from around Major League Baseball. Junior Caminero of the Tampa Bay Rays went 0 for 5 yesterday, snapping a 6-game home run streak. He's the youngest guy to homer in 6 straight games since Ken Griffey Jr. in 1993, both guys accomplishing it at age 23. Benches cleared on Tuesday night between the Nationals and Red Sox. Wilson Contreras and Cade Cavalli involved in a brush-up. Both guys have since received a 7-game suspension. Contreras always full of emotion. We know that from his time with the Cubs. Tuesday, the second straight night of Contreras being ejected. That is a rarity. I've talked a lot about Paul Skeens, especially with how automatic he has been during the early stages of his career. Well, he's finally hit a rough patch. It might be his first rough patch over a sustained period. He's 0-6 in his last 9 starts for the Pirates with an ERA a tad bit higher than 5 1/3. And the Cubs lead the majors with 10 walk-off wins so far this season. But the walk-off win happens a lot on Chicago's south side as well. The White Sox now have 7 of those. Making it even more exciting is it's happened with 7 different players. All right, back to the Cubs. They are hosting the St. Louis Cardinals this weekend. Strange start times for each of these games at Wrigley Field. 4:05 Eastern here this afternoon, 8:08 Saturday night on Fox, and then 2:30 Sunday afternoon on Peacock. Just FYI, all of Sunday's games in Major League Baseball will be on NBC properties, either NBC Broadcast, NBCSN, or on Peacock. Cubs lost 2 of 3 in St. Louis when these teams met at the end of May. This afternoon's starting pitching matchup is Andre Pallante against David Peterson. Cubs had success against Pallante back in May, scoring 4 times in 3 innings. Meanwhile, at his first start with the Cubs last weekend, Peterson went 5 2/3, giving up just 2 runs on 5 hits, arguably his best effort of the season. Cubs hope a change of scenery will lead to continued better fortunes for Peterson moving forward. Shota Imanaga and Javier Assad, in that order, are the Cubs starters the rest of this weekend. And then the Cubs travel to Baltimore and Cincinnati before the All-Star break. Orioles are also a streaky team, but currently find themselves with a losing record. Cubs swept the O's in Baltimore 2 years ago. That Cubs team was struggling until the trip to Baltimore, which also took place in early July. That series propelled the Cubs to a strong finish that season. Speaking of the All-Star game, Pete Crow Armstrong, easily the best performing Cub of the season, but he did not make the cut of All-Star game finalists. Perhaps he'll make it in as a reserve or an injury replacement. He's also opted out of the Home Run Derby in Philadelphia. By the way, I believe the All-Star starters will be announced Saturday night. Drew Pomerantz is back with the Cubs, getting called up today, in fact. He was a star in the Cubs bullpen last season. He signed with the Angels during the offseason, struggled the first couple of months of this season there before getting released in early June. Cubs picked him up on a minor league deal, and today he rejoins the big league club. I think the Cubs will continue to seek pitching relief in the weeks ahead. I should say relief or additions for their pitching staff, not just relievers, but another solid starter would be a pretty solid addition for this Cubs team as the trade deadline is drawing near. And another late inning reliever would be a good pickup too. Daniel Palencia remains on the injured list, and so far there hasn't been a definitive replacement for him. Speaking of guys who get saves, in the big win on Wednesday, 23-3, Jordan Wicks actually got credited with a save. You think of saves usually coming in tight games. You can also get a save if you hold the lead and pitch the last 3 innings of a game, regardless of the score, and that's what happened on Wednesday. Jordan Wicks getting a save when the team he plays for wins by 20. All right, share your Cubs thoughts anytime on X, Bricks Bleachers, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. All things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. This is the Bricks and Bleachers Podcast.